All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers, specifically their defense. I got a couple of especially Washington Commanders targets that I'm looking at, whether that's through the trade or through the free agency market that's beginning in about 3 weeks from now. And we'll start it off with Cam Curl from the Washington Commanders, because what we do know about Jeff Hafley, the new defensive coordinator from Boston College for the Green Bay Packers, is he loves safety play. This guy loves it. So we're looking for a free safety. We're looking for a dynamic playmaking safety. And I'm looking at a guy like Cam Curl. And, the Washington Commanders are just an intriguing defensive team because they've got the second overall pick. They got a new head coach, new OC. You got a new management staff. You got a new DC. They're kind of clearing out the house like we saw with the Montez Sweat trade at the deadline and like we saw with the Chase Young trade at the deadline. So Cam Curl, in my opinion, is one of these players on their team where he's about to make a bunch of money. And by a bunch of money, I'm not talking anything crazy. I'm talking like 3 years, about $36 million, $38, $37 million, about, $18 million guaranteed, $18 to $20 million guaranteed. So, it's in the Packers' pocket if they can move around the money, whether that's going to be David Bakhtiari being cut. If there's a will, there's a way. But I'm looking at a guy like Cam Curl. He doesn't have this crazy notoriety, but he's just 24 years old, and he just had a career high 115 total tackles. He can play both safety spots, and he's not even close to the prime of his career. So I think this is one of those kind of low risk, high reward type of moves. But if you are a Commanders fan, or if you know of Cam Curl, it's not even really that much of a risk. So before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Folks, I'm a diehard Green Bay Packers fan, so my cheeseheads, if we try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. I got a bunch of stuff coming on the way, more likely in March. It's a bunch of, right now football talk is just kind of hypotheticals like this, and it's fun to do, but it can get a little bit old. So let's move on to the second target. Guys, this Green Bay Packers defense has a bunch of talent littered all across the board. Guys like Quay Walker, you still have Jair Alexander, I still have Preston Smith, I still have Kenny Clark, I still have Rashawn Gary. And as good as our front seven was, one weird stat for the last 2 seasons has been our rush defense. And one of the things is this: I do think Jeff Hafley, as opposed to Joe Barry, is going to get the most out of our current personnel. But if we are talking about bringing in big-time free agents like Cam Curl, or if we're talking about making a trade like Jonathan Allen that we're about to mention, I just think either way, even if the Green Bay Packers stand pat in free agency market as far as big-time heavy hitters go, or trade market as far as big-time heavy hitters go, like Jonathan Allen, I do think even if the Packers roster some way, somehow on paper was still the exact same to start off next season, I do think it would be improved because of Jeff Hafley. But folks, when we look at the rush statistics, it's not good. It's not good in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, this has been going on for 2 years. I remember in that game Jordan Love popped in against the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't remember if that was Monday Night Football or Sunday night or Thursday night. But Jordan Love came in, but the Eagles, it was our last year with Rodgers, and we could not stop the run in any way, shape, or form. And it's just been this reoccurring theme for the last 2 seasons now. This past year, the Green Bay Packers were 28th in rush yards allowed. They were 23rd in yards per carry allowed. And so I want to look at a guy like Jonathan Allen, because I saw this article on Bleacher Report. The 41st pick, keep in mind, the Green Bay Packers have the top 5 amount of draft capital for this upcoming draft. So we've got a couple of moves that we could make, whether that's trading up in the first round or trading away a second round pick like in this hypothetical. But this trade proposal isn't even that bad, especially coming from Bleacher Report. It's Jonathan Allen for a 2024 second round pick, which is pick number 41, and then a 2024 fifth round pick, number 168. And I just like a move like this because, Jonathan Allen's a stud, and we have huge rush defensive issues. And when I look at Jonathan Allen in the last 3 years, he's made 2 Pro Bowls in 2022 and 2021. This past season, he had 19 quarterback hits. 2 years ago, he had 30 quarterback hits. He's going to give you at least 6 sacks a season. And for a defensive tackle, these are things I am pretty intrigued by. He can technically play the defensive end. He can play the defensive tackle position. He's very fluid. You can move him around if need be, but to pair him up with a player with like Kenny Clark, Kenny Clark and Jonathan Allen down below in the trenches with Rashawn Gary, all of our playmakers, Preston Smith, the list goes on and on. It is really intriguing to me. Now, with even both of those two moves, I'm not sure the Packers would be all that inclined to make either move. I just, growing up my whole life, I feel like Green Bay never makes splashes in free agency. I feel like they never make any type of crazy splash in the trade market, but who knows? This year could be a little bit different because of our draft capital and all the draft value. Like, we're a top 5 team as far as draft capital goes. So it's just 2 moves to keep in mind. I wouldn't be shocked. I would be pretty surprised, or however that saying goes. So let's move into some more things that the Green Bay Packers could look into. So salary cap wise, we're not looking great. Like, we don't even have over $1 million. We're not in the negative, but we've got about $350,000 right now as it stands in salary cap. Now, that will change. I don't know what moves they're going to make. I don't know if David Bakhtiari is going to be cut. I don't know if he's going to be traded to the Jets. Kind of seems like the Jets would be his only suitor because he's barely played in the last 3 seasons. But some moves we could be looking at, it has to be the running back position. Aaron Jones, when he's on the field, is an absolute beast. Absolute beast. And on paper, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon is one of the best dynamic duos in the entire National Football League. Unfortunately for us, both of those 2 players were injured at various points this past season. As much as I love A.J. Dillon and I would love to have him back, I wouldn't be surprised if they do look into the draft to fill that hole, because A.J. Dillon is hitting free agency. He'll be a free agent in March, a couple of days from now. And it just kind of feels like he's on his way out. AJ Dillon's a nice runner. Aaron Jones commands a lot of money, and I just feel like they're going to move towards the draft. The good news is Goot does a really good job at evaluating and finding talent through the draft. So I do think their best route would probably be through the draft. But with that being said, I'm curious to hear where Packers fans stand. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, really solid on paper running back duo, but I don't know. It's just something in my gut that tells me A.J. Dillon will not be back as a Green Bay Packer this upcoming season. So I'm curious to hear. You could also go with a flyer, a guy like Devin Singletary, like the Houston Texans did this past season. So I'm curious to hear where my Packers fans stand with that. With that being said, that's it for tonight. Kind of just a bunch of hypotheticals for you guys. I apologize. It's just the complete dead of the offseason, the month of February in the National Football League. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button we're going to be posting a ton of Packers content from here on out, as we have been doing for quite some time now. So I appreciate all you guys. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next.